Good morning. On behalf of the Border Solutions Alliance and the West Big Data Hub, thank you for joining us for our lightning talk today with Daniel Obodovski, founder and executive director of Scale San Diego. This morning, Daniel will spend 15 minutes talking about Scale San Diego's approach to solving urban challenges by crowdsourcing innovation from local talent. Then we'll take a few minutes for questions and answers. Daniel, I'll go ahead and turn the floor over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. And good morning, everyone. I want to talk to you about SCALE, which stands for Smart Cities, Accelerator, Labs, and Environment, and our approach to urban innovation, and the program that we have developed, some of the results that came out of it. First of all, when we talk about urban innovation, when we talk about smart cities, it's not just about robots or sensors or cameras or autonomous vehicles. It's about those things too, but it's primarily about solving problems that we as communities face. Problems such as things that we're facing in our neighborhoods, maybe low, moderate income neighborhoods, maybe affluent neighborhoods, maybe anywhere in between. Things like access to food to some of the low, moderate income neighborhoods. Things like helping local artists getting discovered, especially in days of COVID-19 when they've been disproportionately affected and their business been disproportionately affected. Helping people find jobs or study remotely, and making sure that what they're learning remotely is having impact. Or things like, and this is especially big issue, is helping small businesses operate. A lot of small and medium businesses, a lot of mom and pop businesses have been operating the same way they have been operating for the last maybe 20, 30 years. And they have loyal customers. However, they might have outdated business process, or they may be still overwhelmingly using pen and paper or the phone instead of utilizing the new technology tools. And if before pandemic, before COVID-19, technology for them was a nice to have, today it's a matter of survival. And helping the small businesses come to the 21st century with their tools and saving costs and building better channels to their customers and identifying new opportunities, that becomes a matter of survival. Or, this is a pre-COVID picture, is never having to wait in DMV, what we call the e-government, solving all those things, a lot of the things that you can do remotely. It sounds like a no-brainer. And solutions to a lot of these problems can be crowdsourced. We, especially in San Diego, we're lucky we have amazing talent, not just in San Diego, but in the region and also across the border. In Tijuana, we have amazing talent. We have very diverse talent. We have people who are great designers, architects, software developers, data scientists, engineers, and many, many, many others. And when these people come together, and when they put their talent together for an important cause of solving critical problems we have in the community, great things come out. And crowdsourcing in general, there's nothing new about crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing has been out there for quite some time, for maybe the last 20 years or more. And a lot of companies have been using crowdsourcing for developing new products or new product ideas. Companies like Amazon or Facebook or Walmart or P&G and many, many, many others. So the question is, why don't we take this very similar approach that's been tested and tried and proven and apply it to solving problems in our neighborhoods and our communities and our cities? And that's exactly what we're doing. So let me give you some examples of some of the solutions that emerged from our program. Last year, 2019, one of the winners was a team called Roadreader, and they developed a neural net for detecting potholes or detecting cracks on the road. And by working together with the city, they realized that actually detecting potholes was a little bit too late. They needed to look at zoom in and look at the cracks on the road, and be able to predict whether these cracks can grow into potholes. And by aligning them with a city, they optimized their model, which was much more applicable to solving the problems and monitoring the roads almost like in real time, as opposed to doing like surveys every year, every 2 years, like it's been working until now. Another example is also winner of last year's graduate of our program is Team Fresh Start. And they addressed the food insecurity problem. And they basically built a logistics platform that allows hotels or restaurants or anybody else who had excess food to donate, not only to donate it, but get it picked up and delivered immediately using the food bank database directly to those who need it. And as you can imagine, that's been a very critical topic for a lot of low, moderate income neighborhoods. And they actually operated quite successfully, and they had a trial going on in Balboa Park, and bringing more people to join them. And another winner of this year's challenge that I wanted to talk about is Team City Canvas. As many of you know, local art and tourism has been especially hard hit during the pandemic. But actually, this story started even earlier, before the pandemic, because we were approached by the Commission for the Arts and Culture of the city of San Diego, who told us about the problem they were trying to solve, which is keep track of the local art and being able to detect what are some of the most interesting local art and local art venues and local art events that might not be highly publicized, but yet they're getting traction and attracting a lot of people. And how would you help them get discovered? So this team that also combined a data scientist and a designer and a software developer worked for multi-month, and I'll tell you more about our program in a minute and how it works. They basically created a platform for local artists and allow them to be discovered through that platform, and also identified some of the virtual experience that can be done, virtual walks or virtual concerts, and so on and so on, that allows artists to still perform during the lockdown. So how does our program work? Our program roughly takes about 6 months. And we start with picking urban challenges for every program. Like, for example, last year it was food insecurity and it was Vision Zero. And this year it was Commission for the Arts and Culture, like I mentioned earlier, but it was also the problem with kind of a workflow of people communicating with the city and reporting problems to the city. And that also resulted in a great team that emerged from there. So we basically picked these challenges, and we spent the first couple of months, 2 to 3 months, on what we call the discovery process. And the discovery process is basically making sure we meet with the subject matter experts who represent these challenges, these problems. And we get educated about these problems. We understand why they're still problems. What have they tried to solve them? Why didn't it work before? So that we don't try to propose the same solution they already tried and it didn't work. We also look at any data sets that might be available to be used. After that stage is finished, we go into the innovation sprint week. At that stage, we reach out to a wider audience, to the talent in our community, to join us for a series of virtual events but ultimately get educated about the challenges, hear directly from the subject matter experts that they can ask questions to, hear about the whole program, and ultimately, at the end of the week, they have a chance to build teams with our help and work on addressing these problems. And basically compete with each other on who has some of the most interesting ideas or approaches or prototypes in approaching these challenges. So at the end of the Innovation Sprint week, we pick the finalists. And sometimes it's a really great prototype that they built. Sometimes it's a great approach. But in other cases, it's a very good team because we also look at the team dynamics. And sometimes you see maybe within a short period of time, what they've developed is not the best just yet, but we really like the team and we really like the team dynamics, and we believe this team can create something amazing. So after the end of the Innovation Sprint week, we invite them to continue into the acceleration portion or the refinement portion, which is another 3 months, during which we meet with every team regularly for an hour and go through multiple gates, review gates, where we ask them questions about their progress, where they ask them if they need any help, they get mentorship, and they basically take the initial approach, the initial prototype that they presented, and they keep refining it, keep developing it until it's something that can be implemented or at least trialed. And that through that process, they're also meeting multiple times with their potential customer or the subject matter expert who presented the problem, and making sure that what they're building it goes in line with what's really needed to solve the problem. At the end of the 3 month period, they basically present their solutions, and we pick the winners. And at the end of the program, we work with the winners on helping them trial or implement the solutions that they built, either directly with the city or directly with other organizations we'll work with. So that's the overview of how our program works. Here's quite a quick example of what people have been saying about us. And overall, the city and the organization throughout been very supportive. Eric Coldwell, who is the Deputy Chief Operating Officer of the City of San Diego, been helping us a lot and supporting us. Here's also Startup San Diego. Actually, a lot of talent from Startup San Diego has been joining our program. And the teams that have been working and been basically competing in our program not only enjoyed a lot, but also got a lot of value out of the program, and that helped them a lot with their next steps. So this is a kind of an overview of most organizations that we worked with in our program. And we also see our role in the community is bringing multiple parties together to drive the urban innovation and to crowdsource solutions to the challenges that we're facing. And this concludes my presentation. And I just want to say, if you have any questions, I would love to answer to them. Otherwise, go look us up at scaleisd.com and consider joining us for one of our challenges. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I really enjoyed your presentation, and I think that a lot of what you do really focuses in around the kinds of challenges our teams are having as they respond to our data challenge. And so I'd like to know a bit more about how you think teams can best build solutions that will be designed with the users in mind. Some tips that you might have for teams about how they can make sure that the solutions that they're creating are going to be appropriate for wide use and appropriate for the users that they have in mind.
Yeah, I think that there are basically 3 important parts to it. So things number 1, they need to understand the problem they're trying to solve, right? they really need to spend time in narrowing this problem down and understanding it. It's best if they experience this problem themselves. For example, some of the talent that participated in our challenges came from low moderate income neighborhoods. So when they were addressing the low moderate income neighborhood problems, whether it's food insecurity or whether it's jobs issues or anything else, they've experienced a lot of these problems themselves. So they knew them from the inside. So understanding the problem is the first kind of a very, very, very important thing. Thing number two is you need to validate or disprove your assumptions. So you need to make sure you list your assumptions, because very often when we're trying to build something, we operate on certain assumptions. We believe that that's the way we should build it. These assumptions may or may not be true. So you need to be very honest with yourself that you list those assumptions and that you go and ask questions and validate those assumptions and make sure those assumptions are true, or maybe they're not true. And if they're not true, then you need to replace them with different proven assumptions. So that's the point number two. And point number three, you need to interact with your potential customers or your potential partners early enough. And don't be shy to ask them a lot of questions and share with them what you're building, because that's ultimately going to help you develop what they're looking for. So to me, those are the three most important points in getting something that people are actually going to use.
Well, thank you so much, Daniel. That's great advice for our teams, and I really hope that the network of people that we're creating through our data challenge can connect to some of the opportunities that Scale San Diego offers as well going forward. So thank you very much for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Take care.